this one for me?
Mm-hmm.
You're addressing this camera the whole way, because you're Wes, you can do whatever you want. You're a cool guy. Give me a clap. Alright, go and jump up here, and you're going to walk around to this side, or here, just stand behind the camera. You're going to go in between the camera and the light. So you're going to walk here, you're going to walk in, it's going to look magical. And as soon as you're ready, sir.
Okay, so just walk through, take a seat.
Launch right.
Beautiful. Are you ready?
I am.
All right, let's do this. Well, hey, good morning, good evening, whatever time you're watching this video. I'm glad you're here. I know it's day 9 of the fast. It's starting to get a little weary. Just let me tell you one thing. Just hang in there, okay? Just hold on for me, because I know that the fast can get a little weary, and I know vegetables you get tired of them. But it's always difficult to know what God is doing in the middle of something. It's really hard to find something cool in the middle of the process. But I assure you, and the rest of the staff is with me, we know God is doing something very incredible, both in our church and in your life. So do me a favor and just hang on, okay? This morning, or today, let's cut. Today, you read the story of Jesus feeding the 4,000. It's an incredible story. I love it. And we'll get there in just a second. But I want to tell you the story of my friend Jonathan. When I was in college, my roommate Brian and I were in some leadership positions. And so it wasn't really all that weird for students to come to us late at night and talk to us. And one time Jonathan came to us, and he was a football player like we were. And he was a little upset. Jonathan was a young, talented athlete with a lot of athleticism, and he had been struggling with multiple different injuries. He had a hip problem that had sidelined him for almost an entire season. He was fighting through it, and he came, and honestly, he was just crying. He was so upset, and so me and Brian, we sat there with him for a couple hours, and we talked, and we cried, and we prayed together. And Jonathan was considering just throwing in the towel, like just punting, for lack of a better term, on his football career. Well, we at the end of the night had talked him out of that and encouraged him, just make it through rehab. Let's see what happens. Just finish rehab and let's see what happens. Well, Brian and I finished our careers. We graduated. We moved on, but we kept in touch with some of the guys we were close with, and we kind of watched the program from afar, and it almost made me cry a couple years ago when I saw the announcement on social media and on the website and all that Jonathan Harris had been named an All-American in our division, that he had made the All-American team. He was one of the best football players in our division. Jonathan had fought through a lot of stuff to get there, and I was really, really tremendously proud of him. He was a huge inspiration, not just to me and to Brian, but to everybody around him. It really is an incredible, incredible story. The feeding of the 4,000 is a little bit like that. You've got Jesus and the disciples and some people who are in a real tough circumstance. And when we read the parable, the miracle of Jesus feeding the 4,000, we should start that over. And what?
So that's fine.
Okay, sorry. And when we read the story of the miracle of Jesus feeding the 4,000, we learn 2 things. First, Jesus always provides for our needs. You have a group of people who are so hungry that Jesus worries they can't make it home. Jesus always provides for our needs. See, when you're at the end of your rope, when you're at a loss, when you don't have any other options, there is just some room there for Jesus. And there's some room for Him to do some things that He can't normally do. Man, that's what fasting is. That's what this fast is all about. It's removing some things in our life just to make a little bit of room for Jesus, to make a little bit of room for His provision and the things He wants to give us. See, whether you're Jonathan Harris or you and I today, or you're one of the hungry people in the crowd that day, when you're out of options, you'll learn that Jesus will provide. The second thing we learn is this, A lot of times when Jesus does something in your life, that will overflow into the lives of the people around you. See, when Jesus used what the disciples had, when he did something cool with the things in their life, when he provided, it overflowed into the entire crowd. See, when Jonathan hung in there, when Jonathan trusted God to take him through rehab and then to take him into off-season and to take him into workouts and into the games, blessings and encouragement flowed out from his life into all the other people around him, and he was part of a rising tide in the community. See, a lot of what's going on in your life right now is not just about you. There's a lot more at stake, whether it's your family and your kids, or the people you work with, or the community that you live in. See, God wants to do incredible things in your life, but it's not just for your life that he wants to do it. God wants to do incredible things in your life so that the people around you can also experience God's provision. Today on day 9, remember that God can provide, that God wants to provide for you, and that often that provision is supposed to roll into the lives around you. Can we pause real quick, Tim? I've totally forgotten my pray points, so I need to review that. Sorry. Thank you.